I'm Dan from CiGen, and what I'll be chatting to you about today is operational frustrations that you might be experiencing in the healthcare space and some AI automation solutions that we think can help you overcome some of those frustrations. Snap away, take video as much as you like, but for anyone that wants the slides, we can make those available to you after the show as well. But by all means, share, post, like as much as you like. So, as I said, operational frustrations in healthcare is what we're talking about. And either show of hands or nodding of your heads, whichever you like, I'm going to assume that many of you in the room are experiencing some of those frustrations day in, day out right now in your various departments. And when I'm talking about operational frustrations, there are several to talk through, but some of the headline ones that we see, not just in healthcare, but across the board, across industry, broadly can fall into a few categories, one of which is that you've got a whole array of software systems, some of them legacy applications, some of them cloud software, and they don't always talk to each other efficiently or nicely. Okay, and that's typically the case when you do have a legacy application that might be 10 or 15 years old, and you don't have a nice, neat way to get some of that data into your brand new cloud apps, but you need that data all the same. Okay, so, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's called application bridging. Manual data entry is a huge time sink, again, not just in healthcare, but across industry, that consumes thousands of hours, unnecessary hours, that can be alleviated through AI automation. And that's not to mention bottlenecks that you might see in your HR departments, whether it be onboarding, offboarding, financial operations, such as accounts payable, accounts receivable, banking reconciliations, and of course, regulatory and compliance, which is a huge concern in the healthcare space. Well, above me, you'll see why AI automation. It's probably worth touching on briefly what I mean by automation before we delve too far into it. So automation in this context is, and you've probably heard the terminology robots, RPA, software robotics. They all effectively mean the same thing, but then we're not actually talking about physical robots, we're talking about software. And in this case, it's software that sits on your infrastructure alongside your applications, alongside your emails, internet, etc., and can operate with those applications and your data much in the way that a person does, but faster, more cleanly and more efficiently. Okay. In terms of some of the benefits that you'll hear people talk about when it comes to automation itself, you're talking about a reduction primarily in operational costs. So a typical software robot can do several times the work that a person can do in a given hour or a given half an hour block. Okay, so you're getting efficiency through speed, and that's helping you to then reduce your operational costs. I do want to point out from the get-go that we're not talking about the replacement of people, and that's crucial to understand up front. What we're talking about is augmenting the work of your staff and your experts with the use of AI automation in the areas where you'd rather than not burn time, and manual data entry is a case in point. Robotics by its nature will give you instant improvements in accuracy and data quality, in addition to its speed. And what we find will flow from these benefits is improvements in compliance costs, mitigation of compliance risk. For those of you that have already engaged in a digital transformation program, AI automation should absolutely be a part of that transformation, and has huge benefits to yield. And the end result, given that we're healthcare, is we're looking at improved outcomes for our patients. Not directly through this robotics, this is more what we call back office robotics, but the end result is that you're going to have more efficient systems, more efficient processes in the back office that translates to better outcomes for your patients, which is the ultimate outcome for healthcare. AI is obviously a huge buzzword at the moment, and no doubt you've seen some fantastic concepts already in the first few hours of the show today. I'm not going to talk too much about AI specifically, other than to say that I'd like to maybe draw some distinctions around automation, AI, and where people sit in between. So when I talk about automation, think of it as being fairly deterministic in that it's very black and white. We have a set of rules that we feed into our software automation. The robot will interpret those rules and carry out various actions, much as a person does. AI, on the other hand, is a pattern engine that allows us to work based on probabilities. So think of that as being able to colour in the grey areas that your black and white distinction may actually miss, or the rules may not encompass. So it allows you to have nuance or add nuance to your process that a black and white rules-based automation might need to gloss over. And again, emphasising the point, we're not talking about taking people out of the process. We're talking about augmenting the work that they already do, augmenting the expertise that they already have. And to that end, we actually do want to have people sometimes getting in the middle of the robot and the process to make sure that we're getting the correct outputs and we're getting the expected outcomes. And we call that human in the loop. Okay, so do keep that in mind. It provides a measure of surety and guardrails around the work that AI automation is doing for you to relieve that time and that stress. In the broad strokes, when we talk about AI in automation, there are 4 key types. It's growing all the time, but it can be broken into a few different categories, one of which is agentic, which is the newest form of AI that's, again, quite the buzzword, and you've probably already heard a little bit about today. We have conversational, which ChatGPT is probably the best known example. Chatbots can feed into that as well. And then we're talking about pre-configured and custom-built models. A good example of a pre-configured model might be an AI model that can read invoices. Okay, so we have an invoice that is typically structured in a known format. We want to get certain pieces of data out of that invoice, and we can apply a pre-built model to extract that data. A custom-built model, on the other hand, performs the same function. We're still talking about the extraction of data, but it might be for a bespoke patient form that is unique to your hospital or to your practice. You might have a few different variations of that form, but it may not be common practice across the industry, and so you need something more customized to suit your own business, and that's what we'd call a custom-built model. So if I come back to some of the main points around areas that can help you and relieve your operational bottlenecks and your frustrations in your day-to-day operations, I'll come back to the concept of the application bridge, which is we've got a whole array of applications in our application ecosystem. Some of them new, some of them old. Some of them do integrate and talk nicely to each other, but many of them will not. And so what we want AI automation to get in between those applications, a middleman, if you will, that can actually get in between and take that data between system A and system B. It might be applying rules and requirements, it might be performing validations, but it's filling the gap of having to have a person get in between those 2 applications and do that work. And that's obviously time consuming, but it's also prone to error. Okay, so we're trying to reduce that error load, and we're trying to also enhance your efficiency. And a subset of application bridging, which is, we've had a few conversations this morning already with a few of you, is data migration. Data migration is a big topic in healthcare and other industries. The gradual movement from old legacy systems into cloud-based systems. Okay, if you're talking about data migration, you should absolutely be talking about AI automation sitting in between and helping you with that process. Okay, providing some surety in terms of the data quality and the transfer of data, alleviating stress from people to be either manually typing data from system A to system B, transferring tables full of data. Again, we're talking about minimizing error. And so data migration, although it might be a one-off project, they're typically large projects, they're costly, and we definitely want AI automation getting in between that process to help you out. Over my shoulder there, you've got an example of some applications that we've dealt with in the past. As it says, the list is endless, and in 10 years of automation, we're yet to come across an application that we couldn't automate. And that includes things like green screen, web applications, cloud applications, you name it, we've probably automated it. And so even if you think that your application might be a little bit too bespoke, come and have a chat to us. Chances are we can make it work. And that's before we even start talking about things like APIs, which automation is very friendly with as well. We've talked a little bit about manual data entry. Now, it's 2025, and I'll put it out there and say that there are many types of data entry that people simply should not be doing today, and there are far better uses of their time Again, we want AI automation to be getting in between that process and taking care of your data entry for you in most cases. The data could be coming through forms, invoices, it can be coming through web applications, it can come via email, Excel and CSV applications, it doesn't matter what it is. The vast majority of that data entry, from a person's point of view, is wasted time, and your people are far more skilled and have far better things to offer your businesses and your practices than sitting there typing data all day long. And in many cases, what we find is a person was hired to not do any of that at all, but for various reasons they get stuck in that quagmire of data entry all day long. And that's where AI automation will excel. It's a natural, what we call fodder for the robots, to take care of that process for you. So anything around, if you've got staff spending even 2 or 3 hours a day, it doesn't have to be the full day, 2 or 3 hours a day doing data entry tasks, you need to be considering AI automation. Talking about forms, forms are not going anywhere. And if I had to guess, I'd say that actually the quality and the type of forms that we see, both in the healthcare space and in industry at large, are probably going to become more complex as we go forward. Having said that, we still want the ability to be extracting key data out of these forms and getting them to other parts of our application ecosystem, into our cloud apps, maybe into our legacy apps, whatever the case might be. And so we're talking about the ability to efficiently read, interpret, and extract data from all kinds of documents: invoices, patient forms, compliance-based forms, regulatory forms, it doesn't matter what it is. So there's a huge amount of application for what we call IDP, intelligent document processing. And this is where some of the really exciting AI aspects are coming to the fore in their ability to read what we'd call structured and unstructured data. An invoice, for example, might be best described as structured data. We have a reasonable idea of what to expect from an invoice. We know what fields we might want to extract in advance. But unstructured data and the ability to actually get meaningful data out of it is becoming far more crucial and far more important. And a great example of unstructured data is actually not a form at all, it's an email. The ability to extract meaning and information from the body of an email that could be written a dozen different ways is becoming crucially important. AI automation can get you in the middle of that process, extract that key data, and then apply that data into other parts of your business. So I'll talk a little bit about CiGen and what we do specifically with AI automation. Our mission basically is to get as much of you away from manual, time-consuming tasks that cost money, burn time, and into AI automation where you can start to reap some of the benefits and enhance what you're already doing. Again, we're not talking about getting rid of people. We want people doing what they do best and what they were trained to do, not getting stuck in the quagmire of time-consuming tasks that don't add a huge amount of value to the business. And so what we'll do with you is we'll consult, design, build, implement, and support your AI automation program from start to finish. The most important part is starting to understand what your bottlenecks are, what your operational frustrations are, and how we can best implement a solution that starts to give you pretty much immediate relief and immediate benefit from your investment. And one of the ways that we achieve that is through measurables. And one of the titles, or the title of the talk, is Measurable Benefits. It's absolutely crucial to understand what benefits we're getting, be it in terms of time saved, accuracy improvements, data entry relief, whatever it might be, whatever the metric is. We need to capture that data as quickly as possible and feed that back to the business so that you have a good understanding of what benefits you're receiving from your investment. And the slide that you'll see behind me is a really basic example of something that you should be seeing month in, month out from your automation program at a minimum. As I mentioned, we're about 10 years into our automation practice. And something that we've been seeing, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, is a trend where once an automation program is rolled out and implemented, there's a huge amount of excitement, C-suite's behind it, executive team loves it, people are getting the benefits, and they understand what they're getting, and everyone's excited. You fast forward 2 or 3 years, the robots and the automation program is still delivering those benefits day in, day out, and have been for 3 or 4 years. But it's maybe not the shiny new car that it was when you first bought it, and we lose a little bit of insight into the benefits that we're gaining. Hence why metrics and measurables become so important to your program. So we have to keep reinforcing month in, month out, what am I getting, what am I saving, and re-justifying to the executive team and the C-suite why we have this investment in automation and why it should continue to expand. A theme I think that you'll hear today throughout some of the talks is that AI is certainly not going anywhere, it's here to stay, and it's going to continue to evolve. And so the ways in which we can apply AI to our automation program is going to keep evolving, improving, and changing over the next 5 to 10 years at a rapid pace. And so we have to continue that investment and continue justifying that investment as we go. Okay, so I'm nearly at time. I was actually going to take some questions, but I probably have talked a little bit too long. I really appreciate your time and listening to me today. CiGen is just down the hall opposite the sci-fi stand, so by all means, come on past and have a chat to myself and the team. I'll be here at the theatre for probably a few minutes after the talk if you want to have a chat. But key thing is, come and talk to us about your frustrations, your operational bottlenecks, and we can start to then talk to you about where AI automation can fit within your business, how it can help, and how we can get started. So again, thank you so much for your time. And actually, a parting thought, if I'll leave you with something, is our customer base as they are today are saving, just in the 15 to 20 minutes that I've been talking, are saving countless hours and thousands of dollars right now with the automations that they have deployed. It's never too late to start, and it's never too late to reap the benefits. So come and have a chat to us, and we'll be happy to get you started on your automation journey. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and hope to talk to you this afternoon. Thank you.